Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a few things from our SoftFlex Design Challenge Kit book lovers. First thing we're going to work on is the bookmark. Now this is going to have to be done in two parts. Well, two parts for me, but it won't be for you because I will just splice the videos together. But I'm going to take the bookmark that they gave us and I'm going to paint it. And then we're going to make the bead strand for it. So that's what that is. And I think we'll turn down and get to work on that. Got my pins out here that we're going to use to paint these. And you can see there's various kinds. This one's an older one, it's Sta. This one's Morphone. Also Morphone, also Sta. Now the Sta and the Morphone are pretty much the same. It's just that they're distributed by different companies. Then we have a paint marker. That's because our little hummingbird here will have a little red cheek here. Now this, I usually use paint silver items. Well, no, they're usually brass, I guess. So he's got his little red cheek. And that's the only thing we're going to need the red for. We'll set him aside because we need to do the other side as well. And as far as the black is concerned, we just want his little beak. Now it looks like I got some black down in there where I want the flower, but that's all right. We can get that off. Now the rest of the hummingbird I'm going to paint. And I'll have to repaint his eye. I saw that I just painted it over it with the, and I need to put white right there where I just put some green. But that's all right because the white that I use, because the white paint markers will not really stay real well, I use fingernail polish. So we'll take our Sharpie and dab his little eye again. Bing. And then we're going to take our darker green and we're going to make highlights in this green. Like for the feathers and all that stuff. So there is our hummingbird, not quite finished. He needs his white, which like I said, is fingernail polish. And that just goes right here on his chest. So our hummingbird, this side anyway, is finished. And now we're going to take our greens again and we're going to do all these veining, these leaves and veining all the way up our bookmark here. And you can do these in either color, or you can, just one color, or you can come back and finesse it with the other color to make them look a little more in depth. I'm going to make the little leaves themselves have a little more of that, like I said, that in-depth look by adding a little secondary color to them. So now for the flowers here, I'm going to paint one of them this pink, this smaller one, this pink color. And the other two, this purple. See there? That pretty? So now we're going to let this dry for a while, then we're going to flip it over and do the other side so that they are identical. But while this is drying, we're going to push this stuff over to this side. And we're going to get our beads out. And we'll do up our bead strand. So how that's going to work is, not sure how well these will stay put on this mat since it's silicone rather than. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, these are going to be the top, then this guy, our rose, then one of these little flying hummingbirds, then our big pretty flower here that came in our kit, another hummingbird. No, I'm not going to paint these hummingbirds, though I could. I just don't feel like it. And this flower, and then again with this. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap this leaf up, straighten this pin somewhat, go in here, and now I have also included a little ball spacer, and that's so that it will go right down into that groove of that leaf, and it will make it easier to wrap it up. So we're going to bend this over, get our bell making pliers, go up and around and over, bring her down, bring her up and around. Come here, you. And then we're going to wrap this baby up. So we'll just take hold of it. Oop, come on, you. Now I can feel this starting to bend on me, and that's all right. We can straighten it up. So there we go. Let's get our clippers out here and clip that little guy. And then tuck it in. And once we have it tucked in, we will take a look at it and see where we've got it all crooked at, because I know I do. I can feel it. There we go. Not bad. There we go. Now the next step we want to do, of course, is we want to string this up. So let's get our SoftFlex out. We had the bronze in the kit. I think it's bronze. No, it's antique brass. And then we want our crimp tubes as well. Where are you, crimp tubes? You gotta be in here. I see them. I just can't get hold of them. There. Come on, you. There we go. They were stuck on something in the bag. Not kosher. So now we need a couple of these. And I'm not sure if I got 2 or 3. If I got more than 2, that's fine. So now we want to take our wire, and we want enough that it will go and have about 1 inch or so extra on either side so I have room to do my crimping. So let's cut some wire off here. Now, if you don't like to have a charm on the bottom of your bookmarks, it's an easy matter to just put like a little tiny, put a ball spacer down there and just wrap around it to use it as a stop bead for the other things. Come on, baby, go through your crimp. There we go. Now, since this is a relatively thin beading jump ring, I mean, not jump ring, head pin here, ball head pin, you don't have to leave a ton of extra space down here and it'll still move around. So we'll get in here, put your 2x2 crimp right in the middle of the divot and squish. Then turn and squish again. And keep going around in a circle like that till it doesn't squish anymore. And you've got your pretty little now we'll go and feed the beads on just as I have them laid out here. Like I said, if I had wanted to, I could have painted my little hummingbirds as well. Though if we're going to do that, we need to do it before we string them, of course. So I'd have to do them right now before I went any further. And maybe I will. I think it might be pretty with them painted. It won't take but a few moments. Of course, they'll have to dry just like the other side before we can go on, but that's all right. We can do that. So let's get, you go over there, first our greens out. And we'll, of course, have to do both sides of our little birdies, but we can do that. I wasn't going to originally paint them, but then I thought, oh, you know, they'd look good painted, though. So no flippy, you got it dry. Okay, so we'll put that teeny touch of red and teeny touch of white here. So the red goes right under his cheek. And the white goes right here on his breast. Now I'm actually making this bookmark for my mama, and hummingbirds are probably her favorite bird, and these are rufous hummingbirds that we're making, and those are her favorite style of hummingbird. So let's put the extra green in here for the other color for a little bit of contrasty here. Then we'll let these dry, and while these are drying, so we can do our second side, I think that we will go up here to our bookmark, tack. That was the last thing we painted. It seems to be fine. So we're going to flip it over and paint the other side. So over it goes. And I'm going to paint the green first, of course. Now what I didn't do is check to see if I was getting both sides here around the back and such when we did this. See how this is going to have. So there we go. Our hummingbird is finished there. Then we will get his head. Put the little bit of black in his eyeball and his beak. And then we'll go back to painting all the leaves and stuff all the way down the side here. Now this is a matter of preference thing. Do you want to have green on the outside of your bar too? Because this is, you know, it's sort of ambivalent whether it's there or not. In some places I'd say it's pretty obviously there, but in other places I'd say it's not. Okay, let's finish our little hummingbird up since the greens are drying now. And of course we want our cheek, pink cheek, red cheek here. And then our white breast. Now you have to let that first green dry pretty much before you put your fingernail polish on, or it will mix in with it. But you know, okay, so you guys get up there so you're not in the way. Now our hummingbird is finished, so are our leaves. So all we got to do now for this side is to add the purple in the flowers and the pink in the flowers. Also, there's the decision, do you want to have the color in the backbone of it? So there's the purple one. Now we just need the pink for this little pink flower that sits right here. Actually, that one sort of looks like either a big leaf or a hibiscus. That is pink now. So we'll say it's a hibiscus. And we're going to do this little bit right here. Now, if we wanted some color, like I said, on the rest of it, we would probably want to put green, because that's what we've got. And not necessarily everywhere. Maybe just, like, say, because there's a green branch that goes across right here and right here and right here, we would put it like starting at that bump and come this direction, and then the same, bring it to here. And these are leaves, so we'll paint those. And then around here, but it stops right here, so that's, I think that does it for me as far as the outer area is concerned. Well, maybe some green right here on this side where this leaf is, and this one. And down here where this branch is at right here. Now I'm being careful and just holding it up like this as opposed to just flipping it up like I did the other side, because I think it's probably still a little bit wet. There we go. So this baby is finished and just needs to dry, and then we can seal it. Now these little guys are probably ready to be flipped. think so. And we'll get painting them. Of course, you've got to remember that if you don't get the paint everywhere, or you've got some silver spots, these are going to be partially hidden by the other beads, because these are beads and they're inside the they're going to be inside the come on, flip back over. Where the other beads are at. They're going to be in the middle of the bead strand. Okay, now we just need to get the other colors on here. I'm getting paint on my fingernails, but that's not a surprise. Okay, so little eyeball and the beak. Just smeared my green paint a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. So now we'll put our little red cheek on. And lastly, and I can put all these paints up if I want, pieces up if I want, is just our little white breast for our little bird here. Well, I said lastly, but I didn't put the highlight colors in yet for the wings and such, so I guess it's not quite lastly. Okay, and now I'm going to put my paints up, and we're going to wait for these to dry. Take them out, spray some sealer on them, and then we can come back and finish stringing these babies up. Meantime, I'm going to set these beads aside so they're not on the mat. They do roll off this silicone mat, which can be a bit of a problem. There we go. So this one is probably dry enough to go out and spray it, but our little guys are not. So we'll have to wait for a teeny bit, and then we'll come back and do that. Okay, now that I'm pretty sure these are dry, or pretty dry anyway, I'm going to take them out in the garage and spray them with some Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. This will seal them in the paints in place. Now it doesn't mean they will never rub off, because they probably will sooner or later. But in the meantime, this will keep them safer for a longer time. So we'll take all these little guys outside and we'll spray them off, spray them down. Then they have to dry for a while again before we can come back and finish up. Here are our hummingbird pieces, all dry now, so we can start back to work with this. There's where we left off. Now, I'm thinking I'm not really liking the way this is sitting. It's pushing this stuff sideways, so I'm thinking I'm going to get a few, maybe ball spacers would work. Just something to keep it held down away from the rows a tiny bit, so that maybe, just maybe, that's enough to keep it from buckling up a little bit. So let's see if that helps. There we go. And that does seem to help somewhat, so we'll leave that in there, I think. And then I think we'll put a ball spacer on either side of our little hummingbirds when we put them in there too, since they have got little dips and crannies, so to speak, on them. So let's see how that's looking. That looks better, I think. Yeah, I think that looks better. So then with our another ball spacer, our flower, there we go, there's our flower spot. Next ball spacer. Come on, baby, on you go. The next hummingbird. Next ball spacer. Come on, let's go on. The flower, the purple rose. Another ball spacer. Now let's see how that hangs. Still wants to push out a little bit. It's not bad. It just wants to push out a little bit. And that just may be the way it's got to be because of the way the rose is cut. I think we've done what we can do to hold it out somewhat so that it's not doing this little curly thing here, but I don't know what else. I could put a seed bead or two in, or even maybe another ball spacer in somewhere. Guess it's not really bad. It's sitting there pretty flat. So we'll go with it. So we need to put our jump ring in, or not our jump ring, our crimp tube. This is a 2x2 crimp tube. That's the only kind of magic crimper we'll take. Now we want to feed this through. Come on, baby, I think you should go through the ball spacer. But it's not acting like it wants to, but I think it should. There we go. And I'm going to stop it right here, pull it up. Now it needs to pull up just a little bit more. That should do it. Well, maybe not. It was up higher than I thought here. Let's see here. But we do want it to be loose enough that it's not going to push those roses out any more than it already is. So I think just a hair's breadth more. And then we will crimp this baby. And I did leave more gap there than I thought I had, but we'll see if it's an atrocious lot. If it is an atrocious lot, we'll just get a crimp cover and put in there to take up some of the space. We wanted to have it a little loose because we didn't want it really tight on our pieces down here as where the roses go in, so that it wasn't making a big bubble. So now we just need to hook it to the wire, to the hook, and we'll see how we're doing. If we're fine with it the way it's sitting, then we're done. If not, then we'll get a crimp cover and put a crimp cover onto our crimp to take up a teeny bit of space, because there is quite a bit of space. I did leave some extra. I didn't tighten it real tight because I didn't want the roses to buckle down here. So on you go. Come here, you. Gotta get hold of you. Push you guys together. Oh, come on, you. No arguing. That's good. So now we can see how well it looks, if it's going to buckle or if anything like that. We got a lot of extra space. I don't like that extra space. That's quite a bit. Maybe we need to put in that crimp cover, even though I don't want a lot of I don't want it real tight, but I do need it tighter than it is, because that keeps giving us a gap right here. We don't want a gap. So let's see what we can do here, how much we've got to get out of there. I'm thinking about that much. So let's get a crimp cover. Now this is a big crimp cover, and if I use it, it's going to, we can cover the crimp up as well as take up space. Now if I were to use a regular size one, I probably want to put it below the original crimp to make sure that I have taken up the space. But since I've got this big one, I can just put it right like that. And it takes up the space quite nicely. So there we go. She's all finished. Got our painted band with our little hummingbirds added. All finished. Isn't she pretty? So there we go. There is our hummingbird. She still buckles that way, just a hair's breadth, but not too much. I was hoping that that ball spacer would take care of that space in there that where it wants to bow, but it is still bowing just a little bit, but not too bad. But not pretty. I like my hummingbirds in there. I think that turned out quite nicely. So there is our bookmark made with parts and pieces. We painted the bookmark we received in our kit. I added and painted these two little guys, and then we added the leaf at the bottom. as well as the ball spacers to try and give it some room so it wouldn't crunch down like that, but it's going to anyway, I guess. So anyway, even though it does look better than it was looking before I put them in there, they still, you know, need a little, could use a little bit more of something. I don't know what though. But there, I've got it pushed so it's pretty even now. There we go. Isn't that pretty? This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and again we've been using the SoftFlex Design Challenge Kit, book lovers. Hope you enjoyed making this beautiful bookmark with me. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.